First responders are also bracing for this winter weather event. Lily Zhang continues our team coverage with how they're preparing in the event you suffer an emergency.
MedStart started their preparations earlier this week. I'm told many of their staff members are actually staying overnight at nearby hotels. That way they're much closer if there's an emergency. Crews are equipped with extra blankets and heat packs if they have to treat patients for hypothermia. There's also special pails of salt and sand in all of their ambulances. Even their response protocols are adjusted when temperatures drop.
The example is somebody who falls and has an ankle injury. Normally, we won't respond to that call lights and siren because it's not a life-threatening emergency, and lights and siren responses are pretty risky. But in these cases, we are going to respond to that call lights and siren because we want to prevent that person who's outside in the unprotected area from developing hypothermia.
Matt Zavatsky with MedStar, who you just heard from, says typically call volumes are low on Sundays. That's because most people are at home, and they are hoping that is going to be the case tomorrow. In Fort Worth, Lily Zhang, NBC5.
Yeah. Texas are hard at work this morning. TxDOT crews are working 12-hour shifts, and we're told they have pre-treated roads with brine. Meanwhile, MedStar crews are equipped with some extra blankets and heat packs. It's meant to treat patients with hypothermia. There's also special pails of salt and sand in all of their ambulances. But above all, emergency officials are asking people stay home, stay off the roads, and let them do what they have to do.
Now, snow is very rare in this area, so a lot of people will obviously try to get out and enjoy it and have a little fun. But if you do, you definitely want to be careful because of those temperatures. It could make things a little bit dangerous. So here to explain is Matt Zavatsky with the MedStar Mobile Healthcare in Fort Worth. We're glad that you could wake up with us this morning, and we understand that you're already seeing some issues so far this morning. What have you guys had to deal with?
You know, thank you for having me on this morning. And we have seen some issues already this morning. Since midnight, we've had 6 motor vehicle crashes with injuries, which, is kind of surprising given the predicted weather, as well as Sunday morning generally being a slow travel day. But we've also had 2 cases already overnight where we had to take people to the hospital for cold-related hypothermia. So great day to stay in, drink hot chocolate, look at the snow out your window. Not a good day to be out for any reason.
Yes, and Matt, I grew up in Minneapolis, so I know how it can feel, and sometimes you don't always see those dangers. Can we talk about what it's like to be out in those conditions and not necessarily realize that you're facing that danger?
Yeah, North Texans are not accustomed to this kind of weather. Congratulations in surviving the Minneapolis weather. I know it can be much colder there. But even a brief period of time outside when our bodies aren't accustomed to it, it can have significant impact. So most importantly, limit your time outside. Make sure you dress appropriately, layers, cover every exposed part of your body, even if you're going to do something as simple as go out for a quick walk or just go out and enjoy the snow as it's falling later today. If you begin to shiver, time to go in. If you stop shivering, it's way beyond your time to come in. Just be aware of your body and the things that could happen when you begin to suffer hypothermia outside.
Right, your body can only take so much, and we know the importance of layering up, but just again, could you emphasize limiting the time that you are outside exposed to those elements?
Yeah, your body begins to lose heat very rapidly in this kind of weather. Kayla was talking about wind chills, and it's going to be like that for several days. So, even a minute or 2 outdoors is going to be a significant issue. For people who have to be outside, if they're first responders, our folks, police departments, fire departments, you'll notice they are completely layered up. They look like a scene from, the Christmas Story, but they cover their face, they cover their heads. They've got at least 1 pair of gloves on. Those are the things that people need to keep in mind. Use that as an example. If you do have to be outside, make sure you're layering those clothes. Make sure you stay hydrated as well, because your body can lose a lot of hydration when you're out in this kind of weather.
Yeah, and Matt, we've been recommending that people just stay inside. But again, we know some people will have to go places. What are the essentials? What sorts of things should they keep in their vehicles with them right now?
Yeah, very important thing. So water, definitely, and make sure that the water doesn't freeze, because frozen water isn't going to help you very much. Blankets, some good carbohydrate snacks if you need to. Make sure your cell phone is charged, so you have a backup charger in your phone. Jumper cables are also a very good idea to have with you. And really just make sure that you've got some markings in case you slide off the road. One of the things we want to remind people is if you are involved in a crash, generally it is not a good idea for you to get out of your vehicle. Call 911 from inside your vehicle. The dispatcher will advise you what to do depending on your location, things that are happening around you. But if you are in a crash, make sure you stay in your vehicle. But have a good cell phone, a good charge on your cell phone in case you need it.
Extremely useful information, Matt. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Stay safe and stay warm.
We checked with MedStar tonight, and we're told it was a busy day with about 367 response calls. 14 of those were for hypothermia, with 10 of them having to go to the hospital for treatment. MedStar says these cold temperatures can affect anyone in a short period of time.
They've come from people who sadly are homeless and could not get to shelter, or they've been people who have had to do a little bit of work outside. In a couple of cases, there were people who were enjoying the outside, enjoying the snow, and just sort of overextended it.
So you are advised to limit your time out in these cold temperatures. If you are out, make sure that you're layered up and wearing warm clothing.
For us, hypothermia and frostbite can happen very quickly when temperatures fall below freezing. MedStar offers this advice on how to lower your risk. Wear clothing appropriate to the cold weather, such as gloves or mittens, hats, scarves, and snow boots. Dress in several layers of loose-fitting clothing and cover your face and mouth if possible. Be aware of the wind chill factor. Wind can cause body heat loss. Now stay dry, but if you do become wet, remove wet clothing immediately. Limit your time outdoors. And don't ignore shivering. It's an important first sign that the body is losing heat. Persistent shivering is a signal to return indoors. Madison, thank you. And as we've said, it may be beautiful and tempting to go outside today, but it's dangerous. In Fort Worth, MedStar says it responded to 19 major crashes yesterday. It had 15 hypothermia cases, 10 of which were severe enough that it required treatment at the hospital. And 2 children were hit by cars while sledding.
Now is 6:12 on this Monday morning. It's President's Day, and one like we probably have never seen before. Taking a live look outside at Fort Worth right now, that is not a typo. It is 6 degrees at DFW Airport. Some places experiencing wind chills below 0 right now, and that is why we are under a wind chill warning right now. With all of that, you start to think about this is very, very dangerous for anyone right now. So we want to talk to Matt Zavodsky with MedStar this morning, who can kind of give us some insight on what we all need to be paying close attention to. Matt, good morning.
Good cold morning, Laura. How are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you being here. You know, we're warm here at the studio. You're warm there where you are. But, you know, I'm getting some tweets from a lot of viewers saying my power's been out for 6 hours. I mean, those temperatures in their homes must be dipping to dangerous levels right now. What would you tell people?
Yeah, you need to be very aware of the potential signs and symptoms of hypothermia. Do anything that you can. Stay under blankets. If you have a fireplace and can safely use a gas-fired fireplace, stay in front of it. But some of those signs and symptoms of hypothermia can be very subtle in the beginning. We had 22 cases yesterday of hypothermia, so we got to make sure that we're checking on neighbors, checking on loved ones for folks that might not have power.
Absolutely. And Matt, here's another thing. When you talk about not having power or trying to heat your home, carbon monoxide poisoning can also be a real concern. I saw you all tweeting out what people should not do and what should do.
Yeah, we had 2 cases yesterday where patients had carbon monoxide poisoning. Both of them needed to go to the hospital. You know, people using auxiliary heaters. I've actually heard of people using stoves or ovens to try and heat their residence. Not a great idea. Certainly barbecues or anything like that in the garage to try and stay warm is not good. But also make sure that you get your furnace checked regularly, because furnace malfunctions or even hot water heater malfunctions could cause that carbon monoxide. Get a detector if you don't have one yet.
Yeah, just got a notice right now, Matt, from one of our guys who works the desk, and he's saying he's got a frozen pipe at his house. The problem becomes with that, once you have a frozen pipe, some people try to fix it in ways they should not, like trying to use a blowtorch or a lighter or a sun lamp. And I can imagine how that could be dangerous as well.
Yeah, it certainly can. And you know, we Texans are pretty innovative when it comes to things like that, but not necessarily have thought that process all the way through. At our residence, we actually had some frozen pipes real quick because we had some outside pipes that had come through the garage. We use a space heater, carefully positioned just to make sure that doesn't get warm. We couldn't find any wraps anywhere. So just kind of think the process through to make sure that you're being safe during the brownouts, or if your pipes do freeze.
And I know that this is something that we've continued to say, Matt, but something that deserves to be reiterated. Stay off the roads if you can, and stay out of your way.
Yeah, absolutely. Very dangerous time to be on the roads. It was very difficult for me to even get into work early this morning. Thankfully, we have not had any crashes that we've had to respond to yet this morning. So I think a lot of people are staying home. We did have 21 crashes last night, including 2 kids that were sledding and got hit by a car. So schools are out today. If you're going to take your kids sledding, make sure you go to a park or somewhere where there's no chance of them sliding out into the street and getting hit by a car.
Yeah, great reminders there. I'm going to start calling you MedStar Matt. We've seen you so much in the last week, Matt. Please be safe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, time now.